What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. So I'm about to be making meatballs and Brussels sprouts in this video. So I just cracked 1 egg, and then I'm going to add this stovetop stuffing mix. I saw a recipe on the back for meatloaf, so I've used it in meatloaf before, but at first I just put I think half of the package because it was 1 egg or 2 eggs with I think the full package. I can't really remember, but I'm just mixing it up, trying to make sure it's pretty evenly distributed, and all the egg and stuff is together, you feel me? And then I decided to add water. I think you're supposed to add I don't even know if that was half a cup. I have no idea, but I'm just mixing it together and trying to make sure it's evenly distributed and whatnot. So the last time when I used the recipe for the meatloaf, when I tell you it tells you not to add certain seasoning and stuff, season this shit up, because when I tell you, I was damn, this ain't have no seasoning. So that's why you see me adding dub sauce. I add some barbecue sauce, and I'm adding some ketchup just to try and incorporate a little bit more flavor. And I added some A1, the thick and hearty sauce. I didn't know about this until a couple years ago, but the thick and hearty sauce is the best A1 sauce. Just PSA, don't sleep on it. You can probably get it Kroger, sometimes Walmart has it, but a lot of stores don't carry it, but it's 10 times better than that, the other A1 sauce. And I'm using ground turkey. I don't really eat that much ground beef. Every now and then I will, but I'm just trying to make sure that this ground turkey is mixed well with the stuffing mix and stuff. So that's what you see me doing. And then I'm going to season it. Season your shit, you feel me? Season it, please. So I add paprika, then I'm adding some seasoned salt. And trying to make sure it's actually seasoned, because last time I was so distraught. I was oh my god, I should have known better. But I'm adding that minced onion and then some garlic pepper, because we have a pepper grinder, and I'm not gonna lie to you, sometimes I don't feel like grinding no damn pepper, so I'll just use garlic pepper, just call it a day. So I'm trying to make sure it's even all the seasonings and the stuffing mix stuff is incorporated throughout the entire bowl. So I had these sun-dried tomatoes in the fridge that have I just need to use them. So I was okay, I can just throw them in here, because sometimes I'm just trying to figure out ways to just incorporate more veggies or certain things in the fridge into more meals. So you see me trying to chop these up. Yeah, I didn't chop them up in no necessary size. I was just trying to do the easiest thing possible. So you can mince them up a little bit smaller if you need to, but I just want to try my best to mince these to a decent size, so they're not big old chunks of tomato up in the meatballs, you feel me? So if you don't like sun-dried tomatoes, or you don't necessarily have sun-dried tomatoes, some other things you can put in your meatballs are sauteed onion, minced garlic, bell pepper, stuff like that. I don't think I had any of that on hand, so that's why I didn't do that. And then I ended up adding the rest of that stovetop stuffing mix, just because ground turkey isn't as I don't want to say thick, but it's not as sturdy as ground beef, if that makes sense. It's a little bit more softer in texture, so I felt it needed more stability. So that's why I ended up adding the rest of that stuffing mix, just so it wasn't loosey goosey when I try to make them into meatballs, you feel me? I feel the key thing when you're making this is just to make sure that the mixture is pretty even, as even as possible. So I sprayed this lined baking sheet with some avocado oil. You can use whatever spray oil you want to. And then I just took my cookie scoop, and I basically just scooped out the meatballs, and I scooped them first, and then I ended up molding them into more so balls with my hand. So yeah, and I feel it's easier if you just go ahead and scoop them out and then just mold them all at the same time. That way you don't have a bunch of meat and stuff on your hands. You have to wash your hands 10 million times. And then after I made them all into balls, I sprayed them with that avocado spray just so they get a little crispy in the oven. And then I'm now making my Brussels sprouts. So I sprayed the pan, and I'm adding some bacon that I chopped up and I just had it in the fridge. And then basically I'm just trying to, get the bacon to brown on the skillet, and then I'll end up adding the Brussels sprouts in a second. So since I didn't have the onion, I just took this minced onion and I just added it to the bacon. Like, I really wish I had onion, but this worked fine. And I'm just like, going ahead and just like making sure the bacon is a little bit brown. I want to add the onion in there just so it gets a little bit of that flavor, like the flavor with the bacon. And I'm taking 2 bags of frozen Brussels sprouts that I got from Kroger. I feel like the Kroger like frozen vegetables are pretty good, and they're usually not too expensive. Sometimes, some of them, a little high, but I like having like a variety of like frozen vegetables on hand. And then usually when I like go grocery shopping, if I get like a bunch of different like produce and stuff, I'll end up like chopping all of it up on like one day. Like, it's like I have a meal prep day, and part of that includes chopping up like as many of the vegetables and like different things I have in the fridge. That way it's easier for me to like cook throughout the week, and I'm not spending so much time mincing, preparing the meals and all that stuff like every single day. And then I'm just seasoning this. I added garlic pepper. I think I added paprika, and I added a little bit of salt, and then that garlic pepper. I think I already did that. My bad. But the minced onion, I added a little bit more, just, incorporate it in there because, like, it wasn't that much. And then I had a bunch of Brussels sprouts because I didn't know if I was going to make both, like, bags. But I just decided to just go ahead and meal prep both bags, and I just let it saute for a little bit. And then I took the meatballs out of the oven, and I'm just flipping them so the other side can get a little bit brown. And then some of them got stuck to the bottom of the pan. I guess I just didn't spray it well enough, but it didn't really matter because I was gonna like toss them in sauce anyway. So I think I did it, I don't know if that was 30 minutes in the oven. I don't know. Like, just go by, like, your oven's, like, temperature. I feel like everybody knows their oven better. I just, like, try to make sure that, like, the meat is cooked thoroughly through. And then I added some water before I put them back in the oven just so they don't dry out too bad. So if you want your Brussels sprouts a little bit, like, I won't say firmer, but if you want them crispier in texture, you don't necessarily have to like do this next step. But I want to like, cook them in a little bit of veggie broth. And I realized I didn't have that much left, so I just added the water to like the little container instead. And just I'm pouring it on. I did it twice. And yeah, I've made Brussels sprouts like a handful of times before, but I usually like roasted them. So this is like a recipe that I'm just like trying out. So like, don't beat me up and stuff. I don't really want to like say that this is necessarily like a how to cook Brussels sprouts. This is just how I was trying to cook them that day. I feel like I can definitely like figure out another recipe. I probably don't need that much water either. But yeah, this is just how I did it. I let the, veggie broth like, simmer down a little bit. And I just kept like making sure like they were mixed evenly through. And now I'm taking the meatballs out of the oven. So for the sauce, I was taking the rest of that barbecue sauce, and I realized I didn't have that much left. So I put some water in the container. I feel like a lot of people know that trick. But yeah, I was just trying to get as much of the sauce out of there as possible. And then I added a little bit more water because I want the sauce to be a little bit thinner. And I added a little bit of ketchup. And I added a little bit more of that A1 thick and hearty sauce. And then I added a little bit of blue agave just because I want to cut down some of that acidity in the sauce. So that's why I added that. I mean, if you want to, you can add like brown sugar or whatever, but I have this agave and I've been trying to incorporate it into more things, when it comes to like food, drinks and stuff. And I got that from Aldi's. I'm just mixing it up, trying to get as even as possible before I add the meatballs into the sauce. So I'm just gonna make sure that all the meatballs are in, and then I think I saved some to the side. Like, I didn't add all of them in the sauce, but I let them like, cook in the sauce, like simmer for a little bit, and then I ended up plating everything.